Just like Moby Dick, The Great Gatsby, or The Dictionary, the following podcast is a work of fiction.
Hello, curious minds. I'm Rebecca Morgan, and you're listening to... hang on a minute. You're listening to A Beginner's Guide to the Occult. You're probably wondering why I'm so out of breath. Well, I have a very good explanation for that. Do you remember back in episode 1 when I said I wasn't sure whether vampires existed? Well, I'm sure now, and they do. They super do. Let's back up a bit. Say 2 hours. I was at my desk reading through a Bermuda Triangle conspiracy forum and correcting people's grammar when I decided to take a break. It was 10:30 at this point. I'd been at my computer most of the night. I felt like a drink, so I decided to go out because who keeps both gin and tonic in the same house? Nobody, really. That's an unrealistic standard of liquid preparedness. So I put on my backpack and headed out. Fortunately, there's a nice cocktail bar just a short walk from my place. Well, I say nice, but what I really mean is that they don't let you in unless you're wearing either shoes or a shirt. Both is preferable, but neither, and you're back to drinking in the park across the street, pal. But I digress. So I get to the bar, the bouncer checks my feet and lets me in. I order a drink at the bar and pull out my phone. No, Rebecca, that's a device of stress. You're trying to relax. Put the demonic rectangle away. I put my phone away, sip my drink, and look around the bar. There are a lot of people. A table of construction workers with their high-vis jackets draped over the backs of their chairs. A woman in the corner reading a self-help book with great intensity. A couple on a date that I assume is going badly because I assume all dates go badly. And a strange man at the other end of the bar who was staring at me. He wore a tailored black suit, a pair of those black and white gangster shoes, and more hair gel than you ever really see outside of an anime convention, but also really good cheekbones, so it wasn't all bad. Unusual fashion choices aside, that's not why I thought he was strange. I thought he was strange because he wasn't drinking anything, not even water. He also wasn't reading a book or scrolling through Twitter or anything. He was just looking at me. When he saw I'd noticed him, he smiled and came over. He said hello. I said hello. He said, "How are you?" And I did what I always do when a good-looking man strikes up a conversation with me. I presumed the worst. "I'm fine," I said. "Then, why aren't you drinking anything?" "I'm teetotal," he said. "Haven't had a drink in many years." "So why are you here?" I asked. "To meet people," he smiled. Now, you're probably wondering why I was still talking to this suspicious figure. Why didn't I ask him to leave, or, better yet, light my drink on fire to create a distraction while I make my escape? Whilst arson would have been the safer approach, it would not have been in the investigative spirit. I often have strangers approaching me, seeking information on the supernatural, which isn't always bad. I like sharing what I know. It's why I started this podcast. The problem is, sometimes people want to use this information for nefarious purposes. So that's what I was trying to figure out. Was this guy just curious, or was he up to no good? So we kept talking. He told me his name was John, which, okay, sure, buddy. I don't know about you listeners, but I have never met someone who was actually named John. In my experience, it's always an alias, and a shitty one at that. If I was going to pick an alias, it'd be something like Abigail. Normal enough that everyone's heard of it, but not so common that it's too obvious. Abigail. Anyway, John offers to buy me a drink, and I let him because being a paranormal investigator doesn't pay very well, so I always say yes to free stuff. He asks me what I do for a living, and I told him I was a funeral director, which is my go-to lie because people don't usually ask follow-up questions. But, unfortunately, John was fascinated, and I wound up bullshitting my way through a whole conversation about coffin selections, which, in hindsight, should have been a massive red flag, but I was too busy trying to make my lies seem convincing to notice this. Eventually, John settled on a velvet-lined mahogany coffin with gold fastenings and extra footroom, and the conversation shifts to hobbies. It's pretty clear that he's fishing for information, but I'm not biting. I need to know what he's up to before I let on that I know about all that spooky shit. How do you feel about ghosts? I ask. What? Says John, looking all confused as if he has no idea what I'm talking about. Ghosts, I repeat. Spirits of the deceased. How do you feel about them? I don't know. Haven't given it a lot of thought, really, he shrugs. Then his phone starts ringing. Shit, I'll be right back, he says, then vanishes. The moment he's gone, the woman who'd been reading the self-help book in the corner comes up to me. I don't want to alarm you, she says, but that guy's a bit of a weirdo. You might not want to talk to him. Really? I ask. Oh yeah. He comes in here all the time and chats people up. He always comes back, but the people he talks to, well, he must really creep them out, because I never see them here again. Shit, I say. Thanks for the tip. I down the rest of my drink and get up to leave. The self-help lady offers to walk me home. I almost turn her down, but then I realize she's the only other loner in this bar, and if I leave, he might go after her. So I say yes, and we leave together. We walk fast until the bar's out of sight, then slow down a little. What's your name? She asks me. Rebecca, I say. Pretty name. Mine's Will, she smiles. What brings you out tonight? I needed a break from work. Thought I'd get a drink. What sort of work do you do, Rebecca? I'm a paranormal investigator, I say. I shouldn't, but I do. I'm not sure why, but I feel like I can trust this woman. When she looks at me, I feel warm and safe, and I want to tell her everything because I desperately want her to like me. Tell me more about your work, says Will. It's not really a request. I research ghosts, demons, all kinds of mysterious creatures. I try to uncover as much as I can and share that information with others. Is that why you asked that man about ghosts? Will asks. Yes, I say. Then, in a moment of clarity, I ask, how did you hear me ask that from all the way across the bar? Oh, I have excellent hearing. One of my many talents. Will stops walking, so I stop walking. She turns to me and looks directly into my eyes. You're not going to fight me, are you, Rebecca? Why would I do that? Exactly. As she leans towards me, I hear the distant sound of music. Do you guys remember that song? Shit. It was in some big blockbuster movie like 10 years ago. It was really popular. Fuck, what was it? Oh, All-Star by Smash Mouth. As Will leans towards me, I hear the distant sound of All-Star by Smash Mouth approaching from around the corner. It's a car blasting music with the windows down. The car is bright blue with a cartoon pizza painted across the hood. As it passes, I'm hit with the mouth-watering scent of pepperoni and garlic bread. Will staggers back, gasping. My trance is broken and I make a run for it. By the time she recovers from the garlic assault, I'm almost at my house. Will kicks off her heels and sprints, and before long she's right behind me. I make a mental note to hit the gym more often as I fumble with my keys. I get the door open and fling myself inside. And Will doesn't follow me. She can't follow me. I haven't invited her in. I can still see her out there, listeners. But she'll have to leave soon. If the lore I've learnt holds up, she'll have to leave before sunrise. So, what have we learnt today? Vampires are real, they're capable of, at least, low-level hypnosis, and they can't enter your home uninvited. As if I needed another excuse not to leave my house. As a result of tonight, I will be adding garlic to my list of backpack essentials, and I suggest you do the same. And as for the man at the bar, well, I can only assume he was some kind of accomplice. I can't think of any other reason he would have been talking to me. Anyway, take care, listeners. Stay suspicious, and tune in next week for another tale of me almost dying, probably. Hey everyone, thanks for listening. My name's Rachel Fukar, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Rachel Fukar. And if you like this podcast, consider supporting it on Patreon. That would be greatly appreciated.